And it looks like we are ready to start this game of Ancient. Astralis will have a lot to show. I think they're up against it. Maybe they can show us otherwise, and again, maybe they can't.
Yep, that's gonna be how it is. T-side for Astralis moving into this face-off. And slowly but surely they'll gain some mid control here. Heroic with a 2-3 setup. 3 players on B, 2 on A. And they're just playing reactively here. They're just not taking any risks. Cadian up there with the Julies. Is he going to make a good argument here for the Julies? He's doing some damage so far, and he's just delaying this position. Oh, he's going in for the finishing blow, but Zipex will deny him. The damage surely has been done at this point. There's some side control for Astralis, though.
Very key frag for Zipex, a difficult one. He knew that push was coming with the Julies when he starts to get low with the bullets. And he was the bomb carrier as well. Bomb not planted just yet, however. Still a man advantage for Heroic, and that smoke will soon be dissipating. TeSS on the way, playing off the distraction from his teammates, but he won't even be able to find any kills there. You can see the whooping, Shush and Refresh with the late frags for Heroic as they take the pistol. So far, so good as far as Heroic are concerned. For me, they're a heavy favourite on Ancient, specifically in a best-of-1 versus Astralis. I think, generally speaking, they'll be a favourite in this match. Shoutouts to Bubsky as well. I feel like he should be at the major. I think it's sad that he isn't back on the bench once again, but hopefully he can find a new perma home.
Oh, man. Some of the matchups here for the teams that are going to be facing elimination is going to be nuts. I might go back to that point in a moment. We do have the eco here, and it looks like it could be quick work for TeSS. Or maybe for Storm coming in on the cat from Dig there. And there we go, it's a fast one. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Imagine a world where Astralis gets 16-1'd again, James. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? I
would love it. Nothing personal, but I just think it's a great story. I think the 16-0 yesterday, the potential 16-0, like when I saw, I think it was 11-0, I thought like, okay, Counter-Strike needs this right now. This is just a great headline with a strong storyline. It would be really sick if this went all the way. 16-1 still a good storyline though, you know, and especially with that picture where Device was walking past in those questionable NIP jerseys, let's say. A bright yellow logo on a white background, I don't think is the best design I've seen.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. Go back into that in a moment. We get a fast play coming through onto the ramp position around B here. Storm very close indeed, trying to shut this one down, and they're still working with those MP9s against the AKs here. Clave has managed to sneak his way to spawn, but he's been caught by Refresh. Easy upgrade to an AK, and Storm is going to get a backstab as well. It's gone from bad to worse on the first buy for Astralis, and again, Heroic, they kept most of their SMGs into this round.
Yeah, I think a lot of rounds are going to look like this on Heroic CT side versus Astralis. But again, it's up to Astralis to show something. I just think stylistically and with the experience and strength Heroic have or can have at present, because it isn't always there. But I am certainly expectant of it, especially in this matchup. I think that this is these are very troubled waters for Astralis. Again, both these teams 1-for-1 at present. So once this best of one is over, somebody's going to be knocking on the door of potential elimination. Some jiggling and a smoke grenade just to delay things at this choke point. We can see the bomb collected and spawn, but there's 35 seconds on the clock. And Heroic have got some reasonable map control. They've got 2 players in Donut towards the A bomb site. So it's a 2v2 on this B bomb site. They've got some sound cues though, which surely encourages a rotation from Shush at the very least. They haven't seen the bomb yet, so Refresh is making sure they're not split. There's Magis to start clearing things up. Dupree coming in from the back again. They haven't seen the bomb just yet. MP9 teasing. And Dupree's left with 12 HP. A bomb plant would be very, very useful indeed. And the rotation won't come in fast enough to stop that. He's got half a chance, only half. And now nothing. Refresh will cut him down. But that late rotation did allow a bomb plant at the very least for Astralis.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be helpful. And they're in an interesting spot because they could buy, but they won't have nades, really, that many nades, but they could get a lot of rifles out. So we might see a half buy possibly. And you know that with the right strategy can be quite dangerous. You got a lot of nades in there. And are they going to go for the full buy? It looks like they might. Oh no, is it a half? It will be a half. Okay. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. You know, with the loss bonus, especially if they get a plant down again, we'll have a 4-buy next round. They could very well win this one. We'll see what Heroic can do. They're a very active side on this defensive part of Ancient, and it's a fast effort into the B site from Astralis.
Yeah, this is one way to try and break Heroic, but Storm and Refresh have got some better ideas that are more favorable to their team. The bomb in the middle of the site at the moment. The choke points are smoked off, but it's a 3 versus 5. Glaive's the only man with utility remaining. He'll try to control what he can, try and give them a chance of worst case scenario. If they can plant this bomb, then they can buy in the next run, I do believe. So that's a worst case scenario, but very worst case. No want more than that.
All about timings here. Lucky coming in. Oh, the double. No! Denied by Shush. And that's so unfortunate. With that pickup, it could have been a 1v2 after plant still. There could have been opportunity for Astralis. But unfortunately, they do not pick up the round. However, let's remind ourselves it was a half buy for Astralis. They managed to get the plant in. They did some economic damage. And they will have a max buy in this next round. So in that sense, it's gone according to plan. Winning the round's always nice, but they've set themselves up regardless. And for Heroic, again, they play very actively on the CT side of Ancient, which is really fun to watch. I think it's, on any map, it's a very good approach. It gives you lots of opportunities, lots of ways to get info. Let's see how they handle this one here. They're going for their 4B opening. See this from them quite often.
How about that for some map control? Smoked off, choked off our Astralis. 3 players in T-spawn, and they don't have possession of mid either. The only person really being proactive right now is Magisk, who's also smoked off, but has some possession towards B. We can see Shush in the cube. And now, how do Astralis play against this position? Waiting for these smokes to go by T-spawn. They have a lot of utility though, Astralis, so they can chill for the time being. They've got a minute 10 on the clock here to work with. So it looks bad at the beginning, but once that's gone, you have to wonder about the Heroic utility. They still have some smokes and such, and that could be a timely HE grenade. Doesn't quite hit the connection they were looking for, but it can be a warning sign for Astralis.
Yeah, Astralis playing this a little bit like Heroic playing this a little bit like Inferno. We'll go into that point in a moment. We'll have 40 seconds left for Astralis. We've got a very passive setup now from Heroic. Magisk has some good info towards the A main position. May realize that the site is not particularly guarded, but there is a lot of players around this mid spot. You've got Refresh in the nest. You've got Shush by Donut. Good trade.
Yeah, bomb not spotted. Shush's position becomes more important. We can see Dupree, who has to assume that somebody's likely to be in his cube spot. 18 seconds now. Cadian on the A bomb site with the AWP will also be very crucial. Shush trying to delay as best he can. Cadian focusing on Donut. 10 seconds. They can hear him on fire now, but that bomb needs to get planted. That's a great flick from Cadian. Can they cover this bomb plant now? Lucky trying to get it planted with the Deagle. Tesses gets the kill on Dupree, leaving Lucky in a 1 versus 2. Denied. The clean sheet remains for Heroic. You thought that Deagle
yeah,
hit,
I did.
right?
You as well.
Yeah, I was like, what?
That was crazy. But Heroic pick up the round again, and we can take this brief moment just to talk about their approach here. So the four players towards the B side is really cool because you get 2 players kind of guaranteed in catwalk early on. If there's a fast mid approach, obviously those players have the ability to keep some tabs on any mid action, but it just guarantees very forward control at the beginning. So if the other team's not aggressively taking control towards B ramp, you get it every time. So it's kind of reminiscent of taking banana control or taking on Inferno or long control on Dust 2, and it just gives them lots of options. You can see they can play really passive off of it too. It's also similar to Overpass. Like an Overpass, when you do the T ramp incendiary as the CTs, you can play forward if you want, but you don't have to. And so it just creates a lot more pressure on the T side to clear positions, to use their utility, and gives them less maneuverability in the early round. So this is the game that Heroic's playing, and it gives them lots of information. And so far, they're playing really well off of this style. And the question for me is, what will Astralis be able to do to prevent them from succeeding in the early round?
Astralis at maximum loss bonus means that every time they plant a bomb, they'll get 4,200. Which means if they plant a bomb, they can essentially fall by in the next round. At least 5 AK-47s. Heroic, once again, will play from the back as far as the A bomb side is concerned, but it's not identical from round to round, but as we can see, pushing through the ruins and dig will be important for them. Cadian and Stown now with a focus on the A bomb site. We saw Astralis wait out these grenades once again, but once the smoke goes, it could be big problems now. There's a trade which Glaive can't answer to just yet. The bomb's been spotted and Molly will go straight in his direction, forced forward now, and Cadian gets another one. That leaves Magisk and Dupree versus 4 with no bomb.
Yeah, that shows you the desperation there. Glaive feels like he has to try to trade that kill, even though it's obviously, you're walking into an AWP angle. That just shows a level of desperation. That's the kind of low percentage play you need to take. And now there's really nothing left here for Dupree. 1 versus 4. And we were worried for Astralis against Heroic because we know Heroic's Ancient game to be quite solid, especially these CT sides of theirs. And again, we're seeing the benefits of this 4-man or 3-man take towards Catwalk, having the aggressive utility on the doors.
Body language, Dan. Body language.
Yeah.
It's not very good right now. That's not positive at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
That looks like a man who's opened 100 boxes and got blue skin every time.
Yep. Yeah, it's not a good look, is it? 6-0, and we're not really... I don't think... We haven't seen a round where Astralis on a buy have had any early advantage. It is, again, as I had mentioned,
control.
Always
control.
Heroic's advantage early on.
Imagine if they try and take mid. Imagine what happens the next round from Heroic. They are all about Ancient. I quite like seeing Heroic on Ancient, and honestly, I just think this is bad territory for Astralis.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that what you don't want to do if you're Astralis, really, but they may have to, is start gambling by just playing really fast, maybe towards A, towards mid, try to gamble. And if Heroic are putting 4 players on B, in the rounds where you gamble with the fast pace, sometimes you're going to get it right, and you're going to win a round off of it. It's just very inconsistent. And that's not the style, really, that Astralis would want to play. They're going for mid control with the pistols, but they have the pistols, and the smoke is going to shut them off.
Yeah, I felt a fast mid play coming. I just feel like, okay, what about this? It's one of those times where the what about this comes through, and of course it is going to be the eco round where they go for that fast mid play, but it might be a test for a full buy round. So I do wonder if we will have a read similar to that from Heroic, where they have an aggressive play towards mid, like they did versus Entropic when we previously saw them on Ancient. So that's something I'm going to be looking for in the next round, to see if Heroic have a 3-man surge in mid, just in case Astralis are testing the waters in this eco round.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it would be quite logical at this point for Astralis to change their approach. And given how strong Heroic have been around front B, you actually, I think, as you say, you are going to go fast towards A or mid. And so Cadian, would likely be calling to his troops a setup that would respect that fact and try to get ahead of Astralis' adjustment. So we'll see. We're going to find out right now. How does the setup look for Heroic? Is it exactly the same? No. Oh, you're totally right. They're going heavy.
I'm a genius, Dan!
They're going heavy into mid. They're expecting a difference from Astralis, but Astralis are playing into B as well.
Yeah, and there will be that presence. So that's going to entertain. That's going to entertain Heroic in the mid position, and it's not really going to work out as they were planning. They still have Shush and Storm in position as well. Tetes trying to find their headshot on the B bomb site, unable to do so. And it looks likely that we might see our first round for Astralis, who did start to wonder, especially with yesterday's performance. But they are in good stead now. They'll find an open A bomb site and open B bomb site also. And we'll see what Heroic choose to do. They have money in the bank. And on the CT side, that can quickly disappear. So I feel like if you're on a T side, then you've got more scope for hunting. But when it's the reverse, again, those full buys are more expensive for Heroic. So we'll see if they hold on to this AWP. But Stown may have lost his angle to the player to his left. Indeed, nice. He has.
Yeah, I think this was a great... I actually love how both teams played it. I love the decision from Heroic to go mids, like you said, to try to get ahead of what Astralis are doing. There's different schools of thought, because you get into these points, where Counter-Strike tac shooters are about conditioning your opponent. And when you condition your opponent, what happens is you then narrow the amount of decisions that can be made by your opponent, because they are expecting certain things. So then you play within the scope of what is possible on the decision-making based on the conditioning. So that is why we see the mid surge. And for Astralis, it's either that they change something or they keep going towards B. They can't know if their opponent will change something or not. So they're kind of aware of that fact that maybe they're feeling that Heroic were going to change something that round. And that is what happened.
More traditional spread from Heroic. Have a look at the red on the radar. We have 6 incendiaries down at the same time. It's a lot of Crimson. We know that Heroic have been very keen on pushing through Ruins and Dig, but they have to change up their play, otherwise it becomes telegraphed and more punishable.
And lots of utility dump for sure. There's not that much for Heroic, and yeah, double AWP, Lucky and Glaive. Very interesting.
Double AWP T-side, very Brazilian.
Yeah, it really is. Storm finds an opening there towards Cat, and Storm's still sticking around and Dig, and Magus doesn't have health, and he's alone.
So awkward for Astralis on a T side. So awkward indeed.
Oh, 2 AWPs are left.
I know, 2 AWPs, double AWPs on a T side. So hard to be effective.
It's Dane time.
And Heroic, like in these situations, we saw there was a 2-man setup late on in a forward position on the B bomb site from Heroic, where they were playing an off angle with an instant trade fragger. They're not going to give you the angles to get these kills with the AWP. They don't need to. They have 500 HP. There's no need for them to peek. They're 5 versus 2. They're chilling.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Well, another thing that's interesting too is that, you know, Heroic in going really heavy towards B in so many rounds, taking forward control, throwing all their util. You're also, if you're Astralis, you would want to be waiting a lot of the time, you know, because you can't win that battle, because the timings are just better for the CTs, you would want to hold on to your util. So you have a util advantage going into the mid round, and then you can retake some of those positions that you lose. Which is why I like in this round, where Heroic played it a little bit slower. They didn't go super hardcore into that, the ramp position on B. They took it a little bit easier. And they can do that because of the conditioning that they put on their opponents with all those heavy B takes. It's like forward catwalk takes and ramp takes from before.
You can see Storm having a great time. Can't believe they're playing on Ancient right now. Some of the iciest blue eyes in the game. It's crazy how young Kaden is, considering how long he's been around for.
It is crazy. Because at the beginning of like my CS casting career, I suppose, I remember Kaden, like being in London with Kaden because he came down to the studio and stuff like that, and like one of the original, like the first seasons, to observe, not even to cast.
Observing. He's been talent. He's been doing everything.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Been on the longest grind of pretty much any top tier pro from, you know, the way his career has gone.
Yeah.
Definitely been the long game. For sure. A long time coming. 8-1. Heroic dominating Astralis. They've got a foot on the face at present, but finally they get an early pick now. Glaive taking Stown out. That aggression through Dig has finally been punished.
We can see that Astralis are reacting by rotating back towards B for a take towards B ramp and catwalk and so on in the advent of the pick onto Storm, knowing that Storm is usually anchoring around the Dig area. So Astralis can just sort of walk in, contact into the B site here. And we've got a passive play. It's an A stack, a retake on B, expecting Kaden to get that 1 kill, and they set up the retake. Great flashes though. That will deny Kaden. He's got to survive. Oh, they're very fast approaching his side. Oh my god, he's been saved by a teammate flashing.
He may have a chance now. He's ahead of this Molotov as well. If he can focus, but he chooses to fall back. They're going to play it safe now. He'll be deleted regardless. 3 versus 5. Maybe it's time to try and hold on to what you have. There's a lot of CS to play in this half. And they don't want to be on eco just yet, so they will be falling back as Astralis double their score to 2.
Yeah, it's so important. Like the backside control is so important. When the Ts have that smoked off and they're able to kind of push it, you're locked out totally as the CTs. So Kaden's position there to try to stay alive but not concede the position and fall behind the smoke is pretty key. But of course he was unable to do that because of the approach from Astralis. So knowing their stuff, and they're not out of this one just yet. The second round collected, and I wonder if we'll see Heroic going back to some of the similar plays from before, where they're heavy on the B control, then fall off. Because they have actually been getting caught by Astralis on the mid push. That angle from mid to Cat. So we could get a different approach entirely from Heroic. They haven't had to show too much just yet.
Fast smoke into mid. That's a lovely flip knife, Mr. Cadian. Just need a 1 AWP now, which I think will be a relief for Astralis. 6-round lead at present. Some flashes for yet more aggression. Again, they've smoked off the choke point early. Oh, this HE grenade! I like the angle.
Yeah. And so we do get that in a similar familiar opening.
Ooh. That is a gap, Dan. The slightest gap. But a gap that shows plenty of promise for the future.
Yeah. And Astralis have that mid control now, but they're trying to convert into a B split. They've got the bomb around the B side of spawn. And Heroic are, sensing the mid presence. They're having to, we see that Storm and Tessus are looking after that mid nest position. They know that this is compromised. This is a huge moment here for Dupree, for Astralis. This will be a big win. Oh, Tessus has absolutely owned it.
And Shush is holding down his position as well, falling back into the donut to safety. Glaive trying to chase, trying to trade, being denied. They are getting domed by these silenced M4s. AK Advantage not making a play in this round as they find themselves in a 2 versus 5. Stow now showing his strength as they put their foot back on the throat of Astralis in round 11. They win every single duel. No response from Astralis whatsoever. Lucky with the AWP. I think he pressed Q before he pressed mouse 1. Still gets a kill though. Hate to see it.
Yeah. It was a great call from Heroic to understand what was happening, because Astralis was setting up the B play and the B split, and they had Dupree in that really deep position. And the worst case scenario is then if the push comes onto B and Dupree's killing rotations, right? If he stays alive. So Heroic recognize this and they say, okay, well, let's deal with Dupree. Let's at least trade out that position. And Astralis weren't even ready to push into B yet.
They lost all those duels versus silenced M4s, and now 3 AK-47s have been collected by Heroic. So you could say that things are likely to get even worse unless they can turn things around here. Astralis really struggling on the T side versus the prowess and aggression of Heroic. Now we see a 3-man mid take. And again, there are risks to be taken on this CT side if you're where you choose to stack your men, rotate. Especially, we saw Dupree deep in mid last round, to no avail having lost that duel. But that's such a strong position, and we can see Heroic, we've seen FaZe abuse that as well. They'll have to do better next time. But for now, action towards Donut. Shush isolating fights again with that AK. Zipex now trying to hold things down, but it'll be utterly denied. Shut down like a computer with the plug pulled out of the back.
Oh, what a round from Heroic. I mean, can you ask for, like, just in terms of the ego, James? Shush just won 3 consecutive 1v1s against 3 Astralis players. That's insane. The skill diff that Shush just put on Astralis is awful if you're Astralis right now. It's just like, I just can't imagine this emotionally, how difficult it is. Like, from a confidence standpoint, that emotional aspect of the game must be at an all-time low right now, because Heroic are looking so good in these duels. They're so confident. They're winning every battle.
Where's the morale, Dan? We need a pause. We need some team building exercises. We need to, like, I don't know, make some kind of Lego bonsai tree together, some kind of team project in a short 30 seconds, because this is going terribly for Astralis.
Yeah, and you don't have Zonic there, able to kind of give his energy. Imagine what it must be like for
He can't cheer. He can't cheer. He's cheerless. He's joyless, Dan. He's joyless.
He's in a prison right now. He's just in a prison cell. He's you know, I mean, he's like in the interrogation chamber where it's like one-way glass. Like, he can see out, but I guess it's a weird interrogation chamber. He can see out, but no one can see in, no one can hear him.
He's in a joyless soundproof glass enclosure.
Exactly. Yeah,
with limited opportunity for communication.
Yeah, I think you did a better job there. I kind of messed up my metaphors, but
that's fine.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that, you know, you don't have that source of morale that's coming from an individual like Zonic is certainly problematic. We know Glaive is a great leader of men, but this is certainly a difficult position for Astralis to be in. It's definitely not over. We can see Glaive looking for some frags in this round, just to keep things and get something going for the team. Nothing to be done there. The best outcome now is 4 rounds on the T side for Astralis.
They are doing better than they did versus NIP yesterday.
That's true. That's true. Either way, and we're not even getting a timeout. We haven't had a timeout from Astralis. Surely you'd want to use some timeouts.
I'm telling you, man, team building exercise. Let's get some nursery rhymes singing together or something, find some synergy somewhere. No, but on a serious note, I just think like you don't want to be playing Heroic on Ancient, man. I didn't see it. Looking at the historical maps, of course, doesn't tell the whole story. Astralis with 4 games on Ancient in the last 3 months, 50%. But so there's always going to be more than that, based on scrims, what you've been preparing. But stylistically, man, you don't want it versus Heroic. Like, again, Entropic, that match was fantastic, and they are playing very, very well. And the level of aggression there and how they adjusted to Heroic on the fly was very engaging to watch. But Astralis are being dominated. They are being starved of oxygen.
Refresh is going in. Oh, he's found a pulling a nade out. No, he gets both of them. Oh my god. Can it get any worse?
Yes, it can.
I guess it can. Shusha's 12 for 1. He's only died 1 time. That's kind of nuts so far. Oh. Oh, they're getting picked to pieces. I remember a time when the Acadian was trying to get into... Well, I don't know if he was trying to get into, but he stood in for Astralis once. He seemed like he might be one of the players that could have been a prospect to kind of join that lineup when Astralis was sort of like on the way up. And multiple times. And Acadian had to find his own path, James. And look at him now.
There is an old African saying that don't play Heroic on Ancient in a best of 1.
Right.
My mother used to tell me that all the time.
It's quite prescient. Well, 12-2 is a scoreline, and Astralis are really very much on the struggle bus at the present time.
Oh, the angles from Stown.
Don't want to count Astralis out, of course. It is Astralis after all, but it is, of course, looking really bad on pretty much every single count. So we'll see if they can do anything here. Scrape together one last round, perhaps, but the mid control is strong, and it'll be a fast A hit coming through from Astralis, and we haven't really seen them run it down on A very often. And they are going to get into the site here. It's going to be a full retake for Heroic.
Maybe a chance for a late round from Astralis at the end of this half. Oh no! Shush, no you haven't. No you haven't. The auto sniper, insult to injury, a complete lack of respect. Refresh with a 2-man spray down. The auto sniper to get that. Oh no, I can't.
Oh no. 13-2 at the final score on the end of the first half. Heroic absolutely dominating their CT side. We expected them to have a strong CT side. They play this map very well. And there wasn't a response from Astralis. There wasn't good counterplay when it came down to the individual clutch moments. Astralis also couldn't contest. The scoreline, the fragging is just, it's a desperate place. Not a single player from Astralis able to kind of stand up and take the burden, to carry the rest, to invigorate the rest. There wasn't any moment like that in the first half. But it's the second half. Maybe now it can be different as we find Astralis on the CT side. They don't have any room. They don't have any room for mistake. But it's Astralis. It's one of the greatest cores in all of CSGO history.
In the hands of Refresh is the P250 for that extra range, that extra one-tap ability. And now, hey, if Astralis can survive this pistol, if they can survive this pistol round, because it may be a question of survival at present, then maybe they can mount a strong CT side. Magisk has multiple assailants. He is going to be taken out from 3 different angles. and position is lost on the A bomb site. The bomb not planted just yet, however, and maybe there's a chance. They're keeping the Heroic busy, but as I say that, Heroic get every kill. And there's the first one from Dupree, and now Dupree is the last one remaining, 1 versus 4. And again, he's being denied. The angles, refresh dancing, just looking for that info. There's a HE coming his way. There he goes. Chance for Dupree now, but a double peek is coming through, and the worst has happened. Heroic take the pistol.
Oh my goodness. This is crazy. This is so crazy. The thing is that the confidence game, you know, they say it's a confidence game, right? You know, I had Alicia's sports psychologist on my podcast not too long ago, and I asked him the question, because you know how every pro says Counter-Strike is a confidence game, right? I asked him, I said, what is confidence? Because most people aren't able to really tell you what confidence really means, and we have to listen to the podcast to find out the answer. No, just kidding. But we'll go into it in a moment. Though we'll see if Astralis can, you know, muster up something here on the CT side. They've had to force buy. They've got to do it. They have no room to lose rounds. Heroic rotating back to B here through spawn.
If there was a slide, let's say the slide on overpass, right? If that slide was sandpaper and you had to slide down it naked, I think that would be a good analogy for Astralis in this game of overpass right now. They're sliding naked down a slide made from sandpaper. There's nothing but pain and lesions coming their way. They need to defend this B bomb site now, and Tesses will be the first to drop. Zipex denied by the MAC-10 up close. Glaive in the smoke now. Surely desperation played through. The smoke comes through. He hears the beep beep from the bomb being planted, but he's still standing now, waiting for that smoke to dissipate, hoping that something comes his way. Refresh with the MAC-10, won't be able to do the job there. So we've got a 3 versus 3, but Stan will start to thin these numbers out, leaving Dupree in a 1 versus 3.
Scout in hand, looking to try to see if he can open things up here. Does take down Storm, but he's down to 27 health. There's the backstab from Cadian, 15-2, and it's going to be... I mean, we saw Astralis on the receiving end of a 16-1 yesterday. I mean, in terms of a turning point for an org, like Astralis, again, like historically, when did they ever get 16-1'd at a competition like this? When did they ever get 16-2'd at a competition like this? What is going through their heads right now?
It's probably numb, Dan. It's probably numb.
It's.
I feel like we should just bear witness in silence.
Yeah.
The proceedings of this round.
You want it to be a silent song. I mean, one player's dead already. Well, we can pretend like we're coaches.
They've got a chance, Dan. They actually have a chance. Stan's got 4 HP, so this may not be over just yet. Thought it was time to pour one out, but we might not be quite there. The Astralis need 13 rounds in a row, but with 3 rifles up, this could still be over.
And Dupree, oh, nice shot from Dupree. Gets another one off of the scout. Storm very weak. And Cadian quickly hightailing it to the B site, which is clear. Storm might find the timing, but lucky with the better. That right eye angle there, certainly superior. Cadian will now have a plant, a 1 versus 2. Who, I think, you know, even from a storyline perspective, again, who better to just take Astralis out of the game than Cadian in a moment like this? Here comes Lucky, the timing. Oh, and he hears the second play. He has all the info now, where both players are. Cadian resetting the position. Needs to find those 1v1s. There's the first one, and great movement from Dupree, denying it. That's 15-3, 3-15, I should say. And the silent casting, I was like, are we on strike? Like, the pressure to say something when you're on air as a caster is
Right.
like, I'm like, oh.
But it's interesting
holding
to
the words
see.
down.
It's interesting to see how quiet the map can be.
Yeah.
How isolated and alone it can feel when you just when the casters cut noise.
You wanted to you wanted to convey the feelings of loneliness.
The desolate atmosphere. I just wanted that to come through the speakers at home. But Astralis are still in this. I think, you know, once they look likely to win the round, you've got to respect that and start chatting again.
Yeah.
They'll have two AK-47s in their hands. And of course, the margin for error is small. Heroic will be on the eco for this round. And it's quite the eco. All Glocks. And the focus is that they require one round. They don't want to overinvest and leave themselves short in a buy round. And we've seen that from teams before, where it hasn't necessarily made sense and they just haven't had all that they could have in the buy rounds when they required very few rounds.
Yeah.
And that's come to bite people in the butt, but that won't be the case for Heroic. All Glocks.
I mean, we've casted Astralis, you know, so many times over the years, and there's been a lot of looks where you'd see them maybe get like 2.5 rounds or something like that, but there was always the confidence that they would be able to do something with it. And you could see that based on how the rounds were going and how the players were in the booths and so on. And it's a stark difference this time to those times when, in this time, we are struggling to see that same energy in the Astralis camp. There's something amiss there right now, but we'll see if they can recover. We've got Heroic looking to burst onto the A site. There's only one player here, James. Magic must be perfect.
Isolating the fights with the box. Flashes will allow them to try and make their way forward. Still in a choke point. No, that was a great tap with the last bullet. Eventually, he will be eliminated, but we've got a 4 versus 1 now as Cadian with a Glock will try to do what he can.
There we go. 4th round on the board for Astralis. And to kind of circle back to the confidence thing. Confidence, the way that Allegiant sports psychologist Jared Tenler described it is, it's an emotion. It is simply the estimation of your abilities, and it can be accurate or inaccurate. And as you're playing through the game, of course, like the estimation of your abilities translates to the kinds of plays you can make and the levels of focus that you can have. So when you overestimate your ability, you may make plays that are bad. Similarly, when you underestimate your ability, because you're getting owned. So that's a very, very quick dive into that topic. I think it's a very interesting one. And we're back into the buy here for both sides. Astralis on the razor's edge, on the knife's edge.
Another round where we see 6 incendiaries deployed at the beginning of the round. So we can see how important the early map control is. The early establishments are, and again from Astralis we see similar that we saw from Heroic. Holding down this position, showing some presence. I think there'll be an exchange of grenades there. Sipek's given a second smoke grenade to hold this position, should he choose to do so. 1 minute on the clock for Heroic, who have a few smokes. They've got 3 smokes, in fact, so they are very well equipped to execute onto a bomb site and control these choke points, or try to. And Astralis will have to decide if they go ahead of them or not. Glaive deployed. Down goes Zipex as well. 3v3 now, 4, excuse me. Heroic have the man advantage. Refresh moving into a position near that smoke as Heroic focus on this B bomb site. We've got 2 Astralis players in CT spawn. They are unsure as to what may be going on here, and surely Lucky gets traded. Can his team get here in time? I don't see how he survives this. Instant trade by Heroic. Big problems for Astralis.
Very big problems indeed. Dupree walking across, has a great angle for a double. He's going to spray both down, make it 3 for Dupree as Astralis stay in it for now. It's a long, long road, and I don't know if I've seen Dupree look happy ever at this event. Like I don't know, it's just dejection. It just feels like dejection all the time.
Well, when you have a history like his, this is very, very substandard. This is far from ideal. This is, you know, his standards for himself. And let's not forget the Device and Dupree connection for years was absolutely spectacular, but he's got to find something new now with this different roster into